Let's
Hi,
go.
everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of From Scratch, a podcast that explores the world of STEM and startups. Today, we will be joined by Priyanka Kamath as we learn about entrepreneurship. Ms. Kamath is the CEO of Workbox.io and Conceptual Skills DAO with Player Builder Jobber Economy and is an engineer turned entrepreneur. She spearheaded PepsiCo's North America to combat cyber threats with data innovation for high impact with approximately 500 million security programs. She worked at the World Bank and is passionate about bringing digital literacy to marginalized communities since 2010. She has been invited to the United Nations to share her experience of empowering women through education and is currently executing our flagship from 100 Girls in Blockchain. So, thank you so much for coming and being the first guest on our podcast. I'm so
Thanks,
excited.
Isha. Wow, that was such a, perfect intro. I mean, um, it just sums up the essence of what I do, and it just gives me more momentum to do what I do.
Well, I'm glad. Speaking of, I think the first question honestly should be like, what drew you into the world of like engineering and entrepreneurship? What was your inspirations?
Absolutely, Isha. That's such a pivotal question, especially for the girls coming on board to STEM. It just occurred to me, like, when we are in India, I grew up here all my life. We've been developing nations ever since our independence, like, for 75
Mm-hmm.
years now, and there's 1.5 billion mouths to feed. And if we need to do this on a scalable way and on a broader solution, tech is the only way to reach out to this kind of a scale. So that always was behind of my mind. And I was very much interested in how I grew up watching Dexter's Lab all my
Oh
like
yeah.
childhood. That's where it just stuck to me that wait, you were able to make a dent in the universe sitting right in your laboratory that could be built in your bedroom. And that's where the journey began. We did a lot of these side projects, when we were in college for shelter homes, trying to get digital literacy campaigns run, trying to get basic computers to students across. And these were underserved communities. And that's where we realized that, hey, we're giving them resources, we're giving them all these opportunities, but why are they not very gung-ho about computers? Because they don't know how to use it. So we
Mm-hmm.
started actually, I had a good group of volunteers that I used to kind of spearhead campaigns with. And we started building out uh, these STEM kind of playstations. It's sort of like, how do you draw on paint? And we showed that through a cardboard. Like, we just took like random cardboards and we show them how computer looks like, how does it interact with the processor, how does the interpreter language work. So all of those things kind of led me to understand that the basic foundational elements are needed to understand why a computer is even needed. Why do you even need to build that mobile app? And that's where the journey started, through these STEM toys that we made for shelter homes.
That's really nice. So is that how like workbooks like started mainly through building such like simulations for kids?
That's a very good point. Ultimately, it is the reason why we exist with workbucks today, because we are a skill DAO, which means we're building skill equity across pan India and developing nations as such, and trying to bring more girls onto STEM. But in order to get to workbucks, I did have to go through my 10 years of corporate life. And that's where I learned my business skills as well, which I feel is extremely important. And building that emotional skill, emotional quotient, building that muscle is also very important, because you need to deal with a certain strata of the society which thinks nothing like you, and they've not had exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So we just started understanding that, hey, look, let's get the fundamentals right for these students. For that, my first MVP that had come on board was a skill recommendation engine. And this skill recommendation engine kind of, lets you know what are the 5 career paths, you can get into. So you put your 5 skills, you put your pass out date, and it'll curate 5 career paths for you. So that's how it actually started. And then I moved into the conceptual skill DAO, which seemed more like the path to freedom with decentralization, considering the boom that blockchain took, and the curve that it took during 2020 to 2022. So that's why we thought, hey, we could do this better at Web3, where we can reach more developing nations.
That's really nice. So you were talking about like blockchain. What specifically is blockchain?
Great. I love the question. So, blockchain really is nothing but a distributed ledger. How we have, all of these data stored currently in, our databases, it's currently all binary data that's stored. We're just translating all of that into a digital ledger where we're storing data in forms of like a unique hash ID. That means it is, built upon these 3 principles of, blockchain, which is immutability, security, and transparency. That means with the unique hash ID, anybody can trace out, what kind of dApp you're building, and they can come and join your open source code. They can start building on top of your layer, and that's where the collaboration piece fits in, where I, sitting in India, can start working with the folks in Silicon Valley over my own dApp that could be utilized, for education in Nigeria. And it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be hidden from anyone, because like we're doing skill equity work, and we want our work to be more transparent and seen. And the best thing about the unique hash ID is it is tamper proof. So even if a hacker wants to come and hack it, like, he would have to break the entire chain, which doesn't work. That means it cannot be hacked. So while it's still, this whole concept is still needed to be made foolproof, but we are seeing a rapid adoption already, with the big companies like Walmart and Pepsico already having a large chunk of their databases on the digital ledger. So blockchain, in a sense, is a digital ledger. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That gives me a little background. I wasn't really sure what blockchain was at the beginning. But yeah. So for your company, did you start with like the initial goal of like mainly like spreading digital literacy, and then did you expand the goal, or was it like, do you still have the same goal as from the beginning of when you established the company?
Such well thought questions. I'm so proud of you. So it definitely, it is my second venture. As to say, my first venture is the first skill recommendation engine that we built, and that is more of a Web2 game that we wanted to build on, because um, we, like, me and my team, we understood the need for how a confused, frustrated, depressed student needs to understand where they want to harness their skills in life. And at least in India, where we come from, we do see the broken education system, where there's a herd mentality that takes everyone towards medicine or engineering or
Mm-hmm.
accounting. And the goal was to make it more equitable in terms of get into any domain that you are passionate about, because that will never burn you, and you will go farther in life. So that the skill recommendation engine was, one way of looking at building skill equity. But with, amping up the game to Web3, the decentralization part, we thought, hey, why not? Why just skill recommendation engine? Why not just build a whole economy around the students, where a student gets opportunities on basis of skill tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So as you said earlier, there is a player, builder, jobber economy. Players are the students who come on board, they learn through gamification. Again, this is all in pilot phase right now. We're just doing pilots here and there and seeing how it falls. Builders are the developers who build games and who basically train these students. And jobbers are the one who hire the students based on the skill token that the student earns during their milestones through the cohort. So that skill token essentially should talk about the learner. It shouldn't matter if they've just passed out of high school, or if they're just getting into grad school, or they've like done their PhD. It's how much of skill token, because for all I know, Isha Shanoy might have like 10,000 skill tokens, and I might have say 1,000 skill tokens. Like age and experience doesn't matter in today's time. So that's where we wanted to, expand our vision. So yeah, definitely we kind of did go exponential on our skill recommendation and built a whole economy around it.
That's really nice actually. It's I haven't seen many things around us here. Like they said, like in school we have classes and everything, but we don't really have like places where we apply it.
Right.
Like many times. Yeah. So
That's
mainly
true.
like I was wondering, like you said you worked in like the corporate world for like a couple of years before you started your own company. Like what was the push that like pushed you in from becoming into becoming an entrepreneur?
Oh my. This needs a podcast of its own, because it's just a frustration of an, immigrant life. So I
Yeah.
did start my corporate journey in India. My
Mhm.
first company was Wipro, and I was very happy that, I was able to get to prove my metal and get an opportunity to go to US. So I did a couple of projects for Wipro, and they selected me to go to work in Novartis, New Jersey, which is the US headquarters. And this is a brilliant opportunity working on intranet portals that could actually automate workflows and data to the entire organization. So I saw um, how pivotal of a role it played. But so I kept going because it kind of gave the push that, hey, I am doing something. My work is contributing to drug discovery programs through the world. So I went through it. But I went on hop, through the kind of role that would fit me. So I started off as a web developer, moved on to become I started off as a systems engineer with Wipro. And then when I came to US, I was a web developer, moved on to technology consulting and then product management, because um, I've been that kind of a curious soul who's like, I think I need to do more. And I think I need this role will fit me. And that curiosity bug kind of, got me to product management. And I knew at that time that, the entrepreneurship was my calling, and I was good with data, I was good with people, and there was this, skill equity bug that kept biting me. But I was still very logged into the American corporate system with my H1B. Everybody knows how infamous H1B is, because um,
Yeah.
there's just so many hurdles. You can't even visit your family when you need to, because there's just stamping stuff and all of that. But of course, things are getting better now. So I was, in Canada during that time from one of my projects with PepsiCo, and it was during the pandemic that I had taken the flight back, and I knew that I didn't want to go back to US in the pandemic again, because I wanted to stay close to my parents, and definitely knew that all this experience that I took from corporate America, I'd want to translate it into doing something better for my country. And that's why I was like, hey, if we're not changing our paths in the pandemic, like nothing would move you. So yeah, that's where the whole amalgamation of my journey from Novartis to PepsiCo um, was, it felt the right time in the pandemic that I could use it for better.
Mm, that's really nice. So yeah, so you said like you pushed from like engineer to entrepreneur, right? Like mainly what are like the biggest changes you see in like between like being an engineer and an entrepreneur? Is it like the same skill set, or like did you have to learn different things to like really be successful as an entrepreneur?
Wow. Isha, firstly, I'm so proud of these questions. Like I've done a few panel interviews, but these are so well thought of, because it's going to open avenues for so many other girls, just like you, and everyone for that matter, not just girls. But yeah, this is so great. Engineering and entrepreneurship, I do see a holy union in terms of, the different, the problem solving ability, right? So as an engineer, you will take your tech stack and you will try to solve that problem, but you go deeper. you're using your entire tech stack and just going like, vertically. With entrepreneurship, like you have to don multiple hats. And if one day you're dealing with finances, next day you're dealing with product, and then you're actually sitting for customer calls and like, solving their problems. So it's just a different range altogether, but the essence of it lies in the problem solving spirit, which I see is both in engineering and entrepreneurship, but definitely two different aspects. Entrepreneurship is more wide and engineering is more deep.
Okay, yeah, that's strange. So when you like started off your like company, did you find in your like journey, did you find any like unexpected like results, like both positive and negative? Like what was something that surprised you about the transition?
Oh, Isha, let me tell you about it. I mean, we started off in the pandemic. That was it could have been either ways. It could have like completely like put us on a pedestal or completely crushed us. So it did kind of work in a good way for us. We were getting doors open because everybody needed saw the need to upskill in a pandemic. So we got more doors open. We were picked up by Amazon at start, and we were the innovator 2021. So that gave us a good boost that, hey, we're doing something right here. But we were unable to monetize the product. And, that was like that was a biggest fall because everybody that came and approached to us were like, hey, we're going to take your product, we're going to put it to, our MOOC, as they say, the online courses, and the skill recommendation will basically tell to the person what course you want, but they wanted to white label it. And we were like, hey, this is our baby. We can't white label it. We need to go with our branding. So at that point, branding was more important for us than monetization, which is the biggest mistake. As an entrepreneur, you should always see how you can monetize for long-term sustainability. So that was one pitfall. We should have probably just gone and sold our product so we knew how many would benefit. So that was one big learning, and we're using those lessons in workbucks now. So we're finding all kinds of multiple revenue generation, avenues, and it's working quite well for us. We just did get grants from Ethereum Foundation as well, which was started by Vitalik. So we're bringing more girls to blockchain now.
That's really nice. I really love your like mission statement of like bringing more girls into like the engineering and entrepreneurship field. I feel like that's very needed, especially nowadays. Since it is a really male like dominated field. So I really love the mission statement.
Absolutely. You said it. Thank you.
Yeah, and then you said you had like talked like presented in like the United Nations, if I'm right. Yeah, United Nations about like
That's right.
empowering women in like STEM. So what did you mainly like talk about and when you presented?
Absolutely. So this was serendipity of one sort. I was working in New Jersey at that point. This was around 2014, 2015. Of
Mhm.
course, I was there from 2013 to 2015, but every single time I used to just look for opportunities to volunteer and get more girls in STEM. So I used to always like look at the community colleges and see, hey, do they have programs going on, or even big companies like Microsoft and Google hold these kind of workshops. So I think because of that, your algorithm is also your best friend because it kept throwing me where these STEM events are happening or where anything to do with Indian diaspora is happening. And it just threw me this the United Nations Diwali event, and I
Mhm.
applied for it. And they picked my application, and I was very surprised to know that the next thing I know, I get a call and say, hey, you can do a fundraiser here in United Nations, and you can talk to all the diplomats and raise for your foundation. So at that point, I was heading the digital literacy for School Day Foundation in India, which does academic, nutritional, and mental health work for parentally deprived children. So we had about 260 children in a shelter home, and we were trying to raise money for their education. And I did my candidate to the United Nations. I was like, what's going to listen to me? This is like a small shelter home in India, and like, why would they even bother? But I was so surprised. We had this amazing, like a stall corner in United Nations New York headquarters, and it was like a Bali event that we had, and I met all of these diplomats. They gave me a lot of boost and encouragement. Some even did, give out of their pocket, just seeing, I think, authenticity. And I even did get some compliments like, "Beta, you remind us of our younger age." And I think that was the best compliment ever. So I think they saw some kind of conviction, Isha. And this is what I want to emphasize on. If you are in it with a good intent, I'm sure it will be recognized. And that 2014 event again led me to, one of the diplomats calling me back and saying, "Hey, I'll just show you around UN, and you can just look out for other projects if you want to work on." So it was more of a pro bono thing. It was not like an official, UN position that I had. Like I said, I was an invitee. So 2014 and 2015. So it kind of was the game changer for me, because like, when these diplomats who just met me like 24 hours believing, I should be believing more in myself and do more of the skill equity work. So I guess that's where it all started.
That's really inspiring, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like you were your goal is like mainly spreading like digital literacy. I was wondering like how did that play into your life? Like I see you went to like Stanford. How was education like a big thing in your life?
Right. Thank you so much. So, firstly, I would want to
Sorry to
say this.
interrupt, but your video and your audio is cutting out a bit. So maybe if you like turn it on and turn
Okay.
it off, I think it'll be better.
Let me do that. Is it any better? Is it any better? So, is that any better?
Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so firstly, let me address the Stanford part. So Stanford came into picture through my entrepreneurship. So this is a South East Asia cohort where
Mm.
they pick up like startups, they pick up social enterprises and actually groom them to get escape velocity. So it's technically Stanford Seed. I think you must have seen that everywhere in my profile. So
Mhm.
Stanford Seed is basically the entrepreneurship wing, where the Stanford Graduate Business School kind of picks up, applications, and this is exclusive for South Asia because apparently not many entrepreneurs get the kind of VC backing and funding as their Western counterparts. So good on Stanford Seed for doing this. But yeah, coming back to your question, like, how did I get myself into the whole education game? It's a very interesting story that I never got to do my master's. Even now, like I have Stanford on my resume, but it's because of my venture. So that's where I understood that, hey, it's probably not always about masters. It's just about the skills that you pick up and that learning mindset and your resilient spirit that will take you to places, which also got me the United States offer, the US offer that I got. So um, of course, not everyone might have my own journey. They might have to do masters and only then get that US offer. So I will not recommend everybody not to do their masters, but I would definitely want to recommend entrepreneurship to everyone, because when they are in their college, which was undergrad here, that's the time when you have the world view and you have the time and you have the resilience to build. And you're probably going to learn so much more in entrepreneurship than you'll ever do with a master degree. So if the girls and boys who are listening here and you don't know where you want to go to during your undergrad, it is go to your nearest incubation cell and build that product and just get it out, and we're here to support you.
That's really nice, actually. So my school at the end of the year for our engineering courses, we do a thing called the entrepreneurship project. I was actually just working on it before this. with my team. So do you have any like tips of like it's like creating like a product and like any like what's your like process when you're creating a product?
Absolutely, Isha. I mean, the funny thing about entrepreneurship is there is no defined roadmap for anyone,
Mm,
and each one will find their own journey through either, say, when they are right in high school, like you, or when they are in their undergrad. So one foundational element which I definitely saw working for all age groups is, if you're having a pain point that is actually bothering you, and you are able to go that extra mile to figure out the problem, that itself kind of becomes your product roadmap. So by that, what I mean is, hey, I didn't have the money to go do my masters and in an international, like, college, and I always wanted to do that in America. So I had to work my way to get to America. So I took all of those lessons, and then came up with a product which where people don't have to, like, earn degrees to get a job, where they can just build on their skills. So because this was my own pain point, I was able to make that product roadmap. So if you personally feel something strongly, go ahead and build on that. I think they
mhm.
you will not find competitors. Even if you find competitors, they will not bring the passion that you bring, and they might burn out and you won't. So
Oh.
that's one thing. Focus on the pain point that you face and build on it.
So your journey is like really incredible of like going and creating your own company. So what would you tell yourself like when you were starting your company from everything you know now? What are like key pointers you would tell yourself, like your past self?
Oh man, yes, absolutely. I do have these, five mantras. First is, you do need to fill your cup before you pour out. Because
Mhm,
as the CEO, you would want to, like, go on this chop mode. But at the end of the day, if you're draining yourself out, you will not be able to wake up from the bed next day. So make sure you take time out for yourself, reboot, and then go to your team with full capacity. The second, definitely, is innovate, and every single day see what you can optimize for productivity, for performance, and for scalability. So every single day, if you do this little by little, in few months, like, you will be indispensable, and at least you will have an edge above the competition. So innovate every single day, even if it's like, optimizing like macros in your Excel sheet. That also, I call it innovation, because you are somewhere saving 5 hours of time than your competitors who have not done those macros.
mhm,
The third point, definitely obsess with customer, like spend more time with the customer. My customer is a student here, so if you're saying you are wanting to do a podcast at any time, I will be there for you, because I want to speak to you, I want to learn more about you, and
mhm,
see how I can build better for you. So the fourth is, obviously, after customer obsession, is definitely your team obsession. Make sure your team is what the company is. The farther they go, the farther the company will go. So always um, acknowledge them in open, like, like, congratulate them in open. But then if you want to give them critical feedback, always do that in person and behind closed doors. Just nurture them like, your own members and like your own tight circle. The fifth point, definitely, would be on how you get to monetize. Like, not many people get into the field of entrepreneurship thinking monetize. I'm telling this for my personal pain point, because the first skill recommendation engine, we were like, we're gonna do great to the world, and we're gonna solve all of the skilling problems, but we couldn't scale big because we couldn't monetize. So monetize, find out that revenue generating channel and build upon that. Yeah.
yeah, that's it's very insightful. Yeah, you were speaking about how you're like how to keep your like team motivated. So how would you when creating when you have like a business idea, how would you make your team? Like how do you divide up who does what and like mainly have that like healthy balance of like everyone contributing?
Absolutely. Oh, I love this question. It's so critical to our day to day. And it's good. That's one good thing about startup, where it's a lean team and you're like probably building with 6 to 10 members who are your first employees, right? And they understand. So no matter who joins the company, we actually get them with like a presentation which first says like what is the goal. It's not about what role are you, a designer, are you a product developer, are you an engineer? No, you all are contributing towards skill equity, and you all are trying to build this jobber economy that we call the PBJ economy, the player builder jobber. So we tell them that is the end goal. Everybody is a CEO of their department, and I'm just a catalyst trying to make them go forward. So we do have pillars divided. So we do have like an engineering pillar and a business pillar. So the engineering pillar is mainly driven by my CTO. He's an astrophysicist turned data scientist. So I have a huge benchmark every single day at work because he's a sheer genius. I've like completely given the technology reins to him, and he has his own like data team. There's a developer team. There is a designer team. So the data team gives us like insightful, pipelines to build on, understanding, what would actually get the company further. The designers are who can crack the psyche for a customer, because UI UX is everything. We would want to get to the psyche of the students. So it needs to be fun and it needs to be immersive learning. And of course the developer team is, they're a mix of like back end, front end folks, and that's all taken care of by my CTO. The business is predominantly me and my marketing folks, my student volunteer base, our campus guides, who basically are spread across India. And I basically, we have like almost touch base every week, and we try to check in on even their mental health. Like if somebody is feeling low, I will make sure I go and check on the person after that call and see what's bothering them. I feel those little nuances have got me a long way, because they know I'm in it for them, and it's not for some selfish reason of me making profits, but wanting to see them grow in the company.
Oh, it's really well motivated and like well built team you have. Yeah,
And
I find
it's
it's
not easy.
yeah,
It's
I can tell. Yeah, it's from personal experience when I'm in engineering, like for us, our classes are mainly like 35 kids and then there's like 8 girls. So whenever we have like projects, it's always just like all girls and then like all boys teams. And for
not.
me, like yeah, it's no for there's not much diversity in ours. And like
Oh,
every year for like the entrepreneurship project, we I have a team of all girls and we always create something like that helps women. And since it's like a democracy, to get into the second round, your class has to vote. So it's like for us, it's like it's really hard to get like more votes from like the boys, especially because they don't understand like the problems and such. So how do you like spread the knowledge of like of the problem you're addressing? Like how do you make others aware?
absolutely. So, firstly, I'm still processing everything that you said, that you have your own internal battle to get the votes from boys. But yeah, I've been there, and that might just lead you to your own venture. But yeah, coming to your question, how do we get more people to, um, you know, basically believe in our product, right? So we showcase where it benefits them. Like if I go talk, so we of course run cohorts and workshops across colleges. Of course, we are predominantly skilling girls at this point, but our teaching assistants are boys. And I've got more questions from boys saying, why can't we come join the cohort? Why is there no cohort for boys yet? But that's because I've been talking to them and their pain points, and showcase, since we are into blockchain skilling, like how blockchain is going to impact their lives and their careers. And on a day-to-day basis, just say if somebody wants to transact, especially these are 16 to 21 year old, and if they want to go to US and they want to send money back home, right? Like you'll always have to look at the conversion rates, and you'll have to look at what is the bank charging you for sending money. So it's your money that you're trying to send to your family. So why would one want to pay to the bank plus extra, right? And it's a hard earned student money. So when they see that, hey, this can be solved through decentralization and through blockchain, they immediately buy into the vision of what we are trying to do. And if you're going and saying, hey, we're building for farmers, we're actually showcasing how blockchain integrates with the farmer first mile to end mile problems. We're showcasing how this particular traceability solution we are bringing for these farmers through our flagship program is able to get them more profits, and able to even showcase water credits and showcase, like, the farmer details to the end consumer, which would ultimately benefit the farmer. So it depends on use case to use case. So based on our target demographic, we go and basically sell the vision and build a vision to sell it. So we just can't sell what we want to. It can't be just one narrative. It needs to be tailored to who the end consumer is, and we do that.
Okay, so you like target it towards one group and then you keep expanding from that of like different
Absolutely.
groups. Yeah.
You said it.
That's really nice actually. It's like for us, it's like mainly whenever we create a product, it's just directed towards one group, and it's very hard to like find like people to relate. So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
honestly
Yeah.
really, really nice. So when you Mhm.
Yeah. No, I
So
was
when
just thinking, like, hey, couldn't it be targeted to the, girls and women in the boys' lives? And I think they would know the value of your product.
yeah.
Because we do have some menstrual campaigns, yeah, and we show them how it's going to be helpful for them, moms and sisters and girlfriends, yeah.
Hmm.
So.
Yeah. So when you're like planning like a solution and stuff, do you mainly focus like on the big idea of like setting up like milestones and such, or do you focus like on the small details and go like baby steps?
Oh my, somebody who solved this can solve anything in life. This is such a brilliant question, Ika. I should, like, firstly pat your back. This is our daily struggle. Like, if we wanna make those long-term changes, it's always the long run. Underlining statement, it's always planning and achieving milestones in the long run, but it can only happen through compounding daily changes. So you just need to figure out, just need to reverse engineer where you want to achieve your end goal. So if it's like making say 10 million by the end of this year, I will reverse engineer on how to make about say 1.5 million every month. So that would be my end goal, and from there I would want to reverse engineer month on month and see what are the small tasks it would need to take me on a daily basis to reach that 1.5 million per month. So it technically goes there, but you start on your summit and you just reverse engineer from there.
That's
It's
a
not
really
as
good
easy
way.
as it sounds.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a better way to think about it than usually like,
Yeah.
but mainly for us like in school we're taught like the small details, but we never really know what the end goal is. So
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like that's a much better like thought process to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you noted, I told, I did spike it up a little bit more because you wanna, like, calculate in your profits and not just make that revenue goal of, 10 million. Just see how you would be able to inculcate profits also, because you want to stay ahead of the competition.
Hmm. Yeah. So speaking of that, what are your like future goals for like workbooks? Like, what do you plan? How do you see the company expanded in like say like 5 years or 10 years, like, or even like at end of this year? How do you see it growing, and like what are your plans to grow?
Absolutely right. What a I love thinking about this and sleeping every night. So yeah, the whole goal is to ensure that anybody who has skills gets a job. And there are, at least I start with India because it is a silver lining. Even in a global economic meltdown, India has a silver lining. So for all the 16 million students out there in India graduating, we want to ensure jobs for everyone, right? So we've just started going from South India now, and we're just penetrating towards the north. And once we have at least 70% of the market that we've acquired from the north and the south, I think we will be in a good shape to skill all of these students in blockchain and kind of place them in good jobs, because they are students, they can be honed with the skills, they don't need to have a prior blockchain experience. That's what we're trying to bring. And we're getting offers from US, especially the Valley, and very interestingly from South Africa, Berlin. And we've gotten a few applications from yeah, Italy as well. So we just want to see how we can go global from here, because it's a different learning mindset everywhere. We do see a difference between, the US students and the India students. US students do have a lot of hands-on exposure through their curriculum right from school, which is not the case in South India. So we try to go to the Western Hemisphere and see how we can break that, target demographic with the right tools to build on their skills. So yeah, it's going to be global domination from here on.
That's that. I love that mindset of like expanding to like everyone and anyone. It's
Right.
very like confident and proactive. Yeah.
Thank you.
So now I want to do like mainly like not turn away from the entrepreneurship side, but like asking more like what are your like general like hobbies and stuff, and how do you think they like help your skills and everything? Because like I know like I like playing the piano, and I feel like playing the piano for me like it helps me with engineering and such, as like it's easier for me to like learn things quickly because of my piano pieces. I have to learn it quickly and like see plan ahead, honestly. So how do your like hobbies or like anything like you like to do like incorporate with engineering and entrepreneurship?
Ooh, I love the question. Wow, I didn't think about incorporation with that because I always try to see how I can get myself into that. But yeah, I definitely, when I get time, I cook a lot. It's very therapeutic for me, and it also, I think, kind of relates to STEM because it's very technical. Need to get the
Mhm.
ratios right, and you need to get the flavors right. So I cook a lot, and I do experiment with a lot of recipes. I love fusion food, so I try to see how I can, like, put a falafel in like a burrito and see if that works out. Just like some crazy experimental food. And of course, the family is the guinea pig, of course. But yeah, apart from that, I meditate a lot. I just take time and do deep breathing exercises. Would highly recommend this to everyone because um, the deep breathing kind of gets your, blood flowing, and it, like they say, it gets your prana flowing through the body, and you're able to think clearly, and you're able to have, the all the blocked energy in your body flowing, which is needed for an entrepreneur. Because I do feel energy is the ultimate currency for an entrepreneur, and you will only get it through meditation and clarity of mind. And yeah, the third thing I love to do is dance. And, it just also again relates to how it releases the blocked energy, because I do feel a human was made to move. And when you do that in joy and music, like, it just rejuvenates you. So I that does tie to engineering because I do need to memorize the sequence of the dance, and then, your memory kind of like works accurately during other things also because you're like developing that muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really like nice
So
analogy. Yeah. So as I think I've gone through all my really like questions. So do you have anything you want to like add, talk about?
absolutely. Firstly, Isha, how are you? So brilliant. And this doesn't seem like your first podcast at all. Um, what got you into podcasting? I would love to know.
Oh, for me, it's mainly like I do listen to like a lot of podcasts. I wanted to actually start one with my friends, but like mainly it's like it's really hard to find time for everyone to come in and talk. And for this, I think like I thought this was a really good like opportunity for me to learn more about like startups, like the STEM fields. Like what my school is very STEM revolved, but even then we don't have like a wide variety of things. We have like electrical engineering, like computer integrated manufacturing. We have computer science, but we don't know much like of others. Um, and I just wanted to like maybe like learn a lot more about like the other fields and like especially like entrepreneurship. I really wanted to know. Um, so that's why I like created this like podcast to mainly like interview like everyone in the workforce to see like what their insight is, because I feel like I'm working towards a goal that I don't really know what it is right now. Like for me, it's like I want to graduate high school and then get like a degree in biomedical engineering, but I don't really know where to go from there. And I want to just like
Wow.
open up my avenues and see many like different ways of like especially engineering and entrepreneurship. That's mainly why I started like this podcast.
Yes.
So
Ah, that's so interesting. I love how you've connected this to probably open up the avenue of what you're going to do further, because you will meet interesting people, you learn from them, and you will just charter your own path that way. So you're thinking in the right way, and so proud of you. And wow, biomedical engineering, huh? I'm sure there's there's engineering and there's medical, the holy trifecta of everything. So
mhm.
yeah, I'm sure you would. I'm hoping to see you do some really fancy, innovative stuff in the biomedical space, because you'll bring your engineering, entrepreneurship, and biomedical skills. Yeah,
Yeah. That's mainly like my end goal, I would say. I don't know what exactly it is, but I want to work
you'll
towards
get.
that. So,
I'm
mhm.
sure you'll get
Do you have anything else to add on or like
there. Oh
comments?
yeah.
Hmm.
I'm basically, I just want to thank you for this opportunity, because it is so important for all of us to be collaborative and see it didn't matter the time and distance.
Hmm.
We like, I think, I don't know, 3,000 miles apart. And then, I got inspired by you, and I will probably talk about you to my students here who are just,
Oh,
in their getting into undergrad, and want them to be podcasters, because you thought this might be an avenue for you to, see how your
mhm.
future. And I'm sure, like, you would want to inspire more girls in STEM, probably after picking a few things here and there from this.
Yeah.
So it's mutual synergy, and thankful that this will grow into something bigger, and a collective movement for girls in STEM.
Well, thank you so much for being my first guest. I was really excited. Yeah. So if you don't
Awesome.
have any other like questions or comments,
Yeah.
I just want to end it on like one like note. Do you have any advice for like future entrepreneurs? Like anything that they should like start with, or any characteristics that they should like develop before fully going on into the entrepreneurship field?
Ooh, yes, yes. This is the most critical part of it all. Everybody starts with this like rocket ship pace, and they want to make a dent in the universe. And somewhere when the failures hit, month on month, there will be a failure. Day on day, there will be a failure. As they say, entrepreneurship is like eating glass and staring into abyss. Somebody who said that is really right about it. That's exactly how it is. And most people lose steam and just give up after 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
That is the game changer. You are so close to treasure and you don't even know. So don't ever give up. I think the one skill that they need to build is resilience. No matter, every single day you face a failure, you're facing a rejection from your customer, from the product developers, from your own team. Don't give up and find out ways how you can turn around and get to your end goal. Because that's exactly what happened with the journey. Skill recommendation didn't work at the moment, but then when we started integrating it to a bigger cause of building that skill economy, it definitely started showing good returns. So it took us about, like, yeah, it's more than it's 1.5 years now, and every single day there was a rejection. I was this close to giving up. I'm so glad I didn't, and then Stanford believed in us, and the game changed. So you never know who is watching you and believing you, so don't give up.
Yeah, that's very, very motivational. Oh, thank you once again so much for being on my podcast. I'm really, well, I've learned a lot today, and I'm pretty sure when I publish this, everyone's gonna learn a lot too. So thank you once again. And definitely I'll probably contact
Thank
you in the
you.
future to learn more and invite you back on. So
Absolutely, Isha.
mhm.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait for you to, meet my team. And we have some eclectic mix of AR, VR developers and astrophysicists turned data scientists. So they will be a good, learning
Yeah,
mechanisms also for you. Yeah,
yeah,
let's do this.
thank
All right.
well, thank you so
All the
much.
best. And I hope you continue with the same enthusiasm and bring more girls to STEM through you.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to end this off by thanks everyone who's going to be listening to
Okay.
this. And I hope you guys tune back in for more entrepreneurship talks and more STEM field talks. So thanks everyone. And this is Isha Shinoy and ending the first episode of the From Scratch podcast.